Um, so like Dr. York said, I am doing my project on the conservation of predators, their effects on the environment and other organisms. My thesis was on the conservation organizations focusing on larger species to protect because these species provide positive effects in their environment and other species within their community. Today, I will be discussing mankind's role in preserving predators, how predators are truly affecting their environment, and the behavioral changes organisms have in the presence of predators. First, I would like to talk about the four major conservational groups that are most known for conserving animals and habitats. The Nature Conservancy works with local communities, businesses, and individuals to protect over 100 million acres around the globe. The World Wildlife Fund aims to protect natural ecosystems and wild populations, to minimize pollution, and to promote efficient natural resources. The Natural Resources Defense Council is an action organization consisting of over 300 lawyers, scientists, and other professionals that commands a membership of about 1.3 million people worldwide. The Wildlife Conservation Society supports zoos and aquariums while also promoting environmental education and conservation of wild populations and habitats. The role that mankind has on the environment is mostly destructive, in that large companies contribute to deforestation, overhunting, and even pollution, aside from, the organization groups that they hold to try and actually counter all of that. Next, I would like to talk about the important laws that I talked about through my paper, the Endangered Species Act and the Marine Mammal Protection Act. They were both established in the 1970s, which were made legal to protect individual species and populations by making it illegal to harass, hunt, capture, or kill any protected animal or species within the land and the oceans, marine life. Um, so next, I wanted to talk about the umbrella species. An umbrella species means that larger predators that have large habitat needs and has other requirements whose conservation results in many other species being conserved at the ecosystem or landscapes level. In other words, predators that are being preserved within an area protects those different species and plants and everything else that resides within that habitat is also being protected from any harm. So this was one of the studies that I found. It's Kittleman's investigation. They did it through 15 years, and it was a study in Sri Lanka, located in Asia. And the study was done to map the distribution of leopards within like the protected areas that they had in Sri Lanka. And Kittleman found that the leopard distribution was higher where there wasn't any human disturbances. There were two levels of protection within Sri Lanka um, during the study, and the first level of protection dealt with less human access, while level two protection areas have less restrictive access, meaning the public could access it more. And they found that there was less predatory activity there than the first level. Behavioral changes. Next, I'd like to talk about the behavioral changes in the presence of predators. Smaller individuals will shift their diets, their use of habitat, and even food resources. Their vigilance also increases um, when predators are present. When sensing bigger predators in an area, smaller organisms will try to avoid altercations. But if an altercation does arise between these two species, the smaller species will most likely lose because they're not as strong, clearly. Um, Animals may communicate and sense each other by excretion of urine, feces, and sweat. They may be able to pick up the sex and reproductive status of other animals, including their social status. They may also sense competitors, prey, and predators' presence within the area. The next investigation that I did was Leo. It was a 2-week study, and they just did field work, which was conducted on Winnethi Station in the Strzelecki Desert and New South Wales, Australia. Leo and his team set up 42 stations 1 kilometer apart where they observed the reactions of foxes and dingoes when they smelt each other's excretions. Foxes tended to avoid the areas where they smelt the dingoes, while dingoes went in search for the foxes in order to, eat. When sensing their own species, though, both the dingoes and foxes went in searching for their own species. Okay. So competition. There are two forms of competition that I researched. The first is exploitative competition, which is where species compete for the use of resources. And the second is in interference competition, which is where individuals are directly antagonistic towards others. So much so that they exclude them from a contested resource. These two forms of competition determine exactly how these animals will interact with one another and their environment, whether indirectly or directly. Predators are the preferred focus for preservation, and these predators are the most recognizable. The public is also willing to donate to an organization that's trying to protect predators than smaller organisms, just because they are more recognizable in their eyes. So, what can we do to help since we are not part of conservational groups or organizations? We can preserve wildlife the best we can, like in our own backyard. We can recycle and save energy. We can put an end to inhumane traps, and just like be responsible when hunting or just stop over hunting because I feel like that's. And then these are my references. Does anybody have questions?